What's up, guys? So, recently my dad had a shoulder replacement, so that's one reason why I've not been here. But also, with that happening, I figured, he's got pretty limited mobility. I was thinking, I wonder how much that would affect me as a hobbyist, having limited mobility in a hobby that requires both hands. So, I figured we would try something a little different this time, and maybe it could help some of you hobbyists that don't have all of your range of movement or have grip issues or things like that. I figured it wouldn't be a bad option. So I'm going to show you guys how to use Gundam markers to get things looking a little bit better. Of course, I'm going to be transparent and say, they're not something I would necessarily do as a replacement to painting an entire kit. I wouldn't do that necessarily, but what I would do is I would do it to highlight some details and do things like that. I wouldn't paint an entire kit with Gundam markers. That's a bad idea generally. But what we're going to cover is how to add detail to kits, get them looking a little bit nicer than they would just straight out of the box. So, get a cup of coffee, get comfortable. We'll be right back. Alright. So, this is the subject we're going to be using for the current video. This is Ultraman Fuma in the Zhang Fei armor from the Armor of Legends line. It's a really cool idea for this line. It's super awesome. If you guys get a chance to check out these models, do it. They're great beginner kits. They're like $5 a piece. Really cool, hyper detailed model kits, but also perfect for showing you how to panel line as well and how to use Gundam markers. So, as you can see, I applied a few decals, like right here and right in here. And of course, I'll cover that in a later video where I bring up how to apply sticker-like decals properly. Now, areas like, let me just get a pair of tweezers to use. Here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here are all a series of decals. I had tried to apply them. They're not going to apply. They're not going to look good. But with a Gundam marker, we can very easily get in there and do all these. And I'll show you how to do that. Because with a paintbrush, especially if you have a limited mobility, taking a paintbrush into these intricate little carved in lines may not be the easiest task in the world. So, this would be much easier. And allow me to go right ahead and just show you a simple way to do this. I'm going to pop off the little piece of cloth there on the shoulders. We're going to panel line that. And we're going to take from our Gundam marker metallic set, we are going to take the metallic blue. I wouldn't do all the blue on this kit in this color because this is more accurate to Fuma. I went ahead and I tried something with a different panel liner and kind of messed up there, so that's what you're seeing on some parts of the kit. Now, this is usually the traditional tip you have to go with. This is a pressure type tip that's usually made of plastic. What this will do is as you apply pressure to the tip of the pen, it'll flow some of the ink out. An example, let me just get something to show you. That's not going to do much, but as you press down onto it, it dispenses some ink, and you can rub it around. You can make a lot of intricate little designs with it. You can put the first letter of your name, or write a message. Something along them lines. But these are a good option. These are usually the most traditional panel lining option you're going to find, and Gundam marker option are going to be like this. Now, of course, there are other varieties of marker too. You have things like this Tester's paint marker, and the Spey makes versions of this too, where they're felt tip markers. Now, these felt tip are a little bit nicer when it comes to control and how much flow they have. And again, I'm just going to get a piece of plastic off beside me to show you what to do, a little miniature base. So, these also are a little bit easier to work with. This you can just fill in areas quicker because you have a wider tip. You don't have to worry about pressure either. You can just use this like you would a paintbrush. Or you can, again, make intricate little things. You can write little messages. You can have it as much precision as you are a traditional marker, but you can cover larger areas like so much quicker. And this would be good for large areas on models that you have to cover quickly. Testers and display are going to be your best options. I did use that on this model already. I used it on this little piece of cloth here on the back. It's not a perfect color match, but I mean, it's close enough for a $5 model kit. Now, in order to do this, yeah, you're going to probably overspill a little bit. That's going to happen. That's just a given. If you want to take the arm off, you can. I'm not going to because I want to do this the most normal and traditional way possible. So I'm just going to hold the model at an angle where I can still see it, and you guys can too. And I'm going to just start like right here. Something that'll be covered up if we mess it up. Remember, Gundam markers are just like any other painted project or painted product on a model. You mess it up, don't worry about it. It's just paint. Doesn't really matter that much. I mean, you know, oh, you might mess it up. Who cares? It's paint. You can just paint over it. Now, as you can see, it's not only is it going to look nicer than a sticker, it's going to last longer than a sticker. And it matches more with the blue that it's supposed to be anyway. And we'll do the same thing up here. We'll just get in some of these little spots right here. And again, not like you're going to really have to worry about overspilling much. Just, you know, get in like so. Again, if you overspill a little bit, it doesn't really matter because you can go in and touch this up or repaint it and it'll be fine. A little jewel in the middle of the chest. It's that same color of blue. This is the beautiful thing, is as long as you can follow a simple outline, there's not much you really have to worry about. And you can get these for surprisingly pretty cheap too. Now, areas like we're here on the head where you have like this, you just repeat the same process. And these being thinned down enamels, these can flow a lot better than paint can sometimes in certain areas. So sometimes this is the option that even me as a professional miniature painter and professional hobbyist prefer, because this is just easier. There are some times when I, depending on the kit I'm working on, I don't feel like meticulously going through the process of having to mask things off and, you know, spray everything and do all that, when I can just take a marker and rub a marker on the area and it's going to get painted and look fine. Especially for certain metallics. And yes, you can use this on miniatures as well. The only real problem these have is that while they're not the most durable paint in the world, it doesn't really matter, because they're not designed to be super durable. They're designed for beginners, or they're designed for people who have limited mobility to be able to get details on their model kits. And this is one of the things I was really thinking about as I was pondering the idea of making a video, especially a tutorial for you guys. What would be a good thing that'd be relevant, but useful with beginner hobby tools? And Gundam markers generally are a thing that you either love or hate. I don't find them that bad myself, to be honest. Now, we're going to take our silver Gundam marker, And we're going to just pick out some other details. And again, same rules before. Drop Ultraman, but also you really want to get it looking good. Just there you go. Make sure you've got enough on the tip to do. There you go. Now, the only things we're really going to worry about focusing on making silver isn't really the chest or anything. It's going to be parts of the armor that need some silver. So mostly the shoulders. And the beautiful thing about these is, again, you don't have to be super precise. They flow in a way that if you mess up, you can use a pencil eraser or anything really to fix it. I think that's the best part about this, is that you don't have to use a lot of precision or a lot of worry about this. This is what I always would envision Gundam markers being used for beginners. Now, the early parts of my hobby, I didn't use Gundam markers because I could never find them in the early 2010s. The hobby shops I went to just didn't have any of them. Well, they didn't have the nib type, these big nib ones at least. They had the really thin ones that you use for panel lining. They would use, those as a means of getting you to detail your kits, which is good, but not good for people who are just getting into Plomo as a hobby. And again, we overspill a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. So we're not worried too much about it. Because again, the beautiful thing of Gundam markers, they're easy to clean up. Now, if you overspill or you mispaint an area, speed and ease of use these have just makes it easier. Now, just let that dry a little bit. And then I'm going to give you another option you can use to make, again, more generic kits like this look a little bit nicer. We've got our blue in for areas. We've got our silver for the shoulder pads. Now, obviously, we can pick out some of the details throughout the uniform, but we can do that with just a basic panel liner. We can also do that with the weapon, too. Just pick out parts of the basic panel liner. This is supposed to be a sticker. You don't really need a sticker for that. Instead, you can just use our marker. And you can take the part of the blade that's going to be visible, because the back's hollow. It's, again, $5 model kit. You can just rub this over the surface. It's a little better than any sticker would. That's because it's actually metallic for one, and, well, just easier to work with. I would show an example of flat, but I don't have any flat since I don't use a lot of Gundam markers for anything other than metallics. But it's just very quick, very easy. And that really is the biggest advantage these have for beginners or people who have disabilities. These are super easy to use. They're very affordable. I was able to get a pack of these for about, $20 for like 6 different colors. In it, I got this silver color. I got a metallic red, which is a very nice metallic red, almost a tomato red. A metallic green, which is perfect for visors and other parts of your gunpla. This metallic blue can be used. A gold, which we'll also use on this kit. Gold's a little bit more runny, as you can tell. And then it came with a brush type pin. And again, this comes in handy for this type of kit. This is perfect, because I'll show you what these are good for. We're going to take our gold next, and we're going to, again, pick out some details. We're going to take this back piece right here that looks like it's gold on the box art. I'm just using the box art as a quick reference guide. I'm just going to rub this on top, painting all this in nice shiny gold. And that really is the best part of this, is these will dry to a nice almost chrome finish, really making a nice statement piece on a shelf. Which means that not only is the model going to look nice on a shelf, it's going to have more detail than you would think it would for the cheap price you were able to obtain it for. Really, that's what Gundam markers are great for. Being able to get a model looking better than it would have for a still relatively affordable price, without having to worry about, you know, buying a bunch of paints or having to worry about learning how to paint. Well, that's the best part of this, is if you know how to color in a coloring book, you know how to use Gundam markers. As long as you can stay in the lines, that's all you really got to do. And even then, if you don't fully stay in the lines, it doesn't really matter. And still, very easily, get something nice. Again, there's a lot of parts on this that are gold. I'm trying to go crazy though. And that's the thing, with a Gundam marker, this takes far less time than using a paintbrush would. So if I were to do all this detail with a paintbrush, I would have to get out a piece of tile or get out a piece of paper, put my metallic paint onto, to then use my metallic paint while it's usable on my palette to paint the model, or I could just rub a marker on it. If I mess up, no big deal. All I gotta do to fix it's just a pencil eraser. And I'll have a comparison in some spots where you'll see the unpainted version next to the painted version. This really isn't even a painted version. This is just the, you know, we corrected some colors with a marker. And you're gonna get crazy fancy with that thing. Because again, a lot of this is gonna be covered up. You're not gonna see a lot of this. Like a paintbrush, I can actually, you know, just make one continual line on some of this. There we go. We've painted the belt gold. We've painted the lining around the belt gold. And we've painted all these accent parts up here on the upper torso that need to be gold. Gold. And now we're going to just, while we still have the gold out, do some other details on the body. Like these parts right here on the arms. There you go. You know, Not particularly anything too difficult, really. This is essentially what you would do to entry grade kits. This is what most hobbyists would do with entry grade kits. Is just use a Gundam marker, get them looking nicer. Throw some details on there. Not particularly too difficult to do here. It's the beauty of the Gundam marker. It just makes this an easier process. And you can be gentle. Take it easy. And you're not going insane with it. You're not, repainting the kit with it. That would be lunacy, because these are not designed for that. Yeah, there you go. You've picked out a couple of metallic details you really wanted to show as gold. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to show them as gold. Say these are fragile. I don't mean fragile in a way that you can't handle the model kit afterward, but in a way that as it's drying, it might tear if you do that. And again, there's no wrong way to use these. That's just, you physically can't go wrong using a Gundam marker for such basic things. Now, looks much better doing it this way. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit we may have forgotten. Again, that's fine. And again, that's what a Gundam marker is good for. Sorry if it's out of focus. Bright metallics like this tend to throw the autofocus into a frenzy. So, now, that's done. We'll just adjust parts of the model. Because again, these are model pose models. These are not really meant to be articulated. The only reason you have some mild articulation is to help with the assembly process. We can put a second coat over the silver. Really make this look good in some spots. Nice and shiny. And brighten up some spots. I plan on reviewing these models at some point too, as more of them get released. I don't think the entire line's available stateside yet, but I'm not sure though. Now, this Gundam marker wipe type. What these are, and this is perfect for this, you have all this detail right here on parts of this, like around here and parts of the arms and things like that. But most of what we're going to focus on is some of the skirting right here. We're going to just show you how this comes in handy. We're just going to brush that on because it's a brush type marker. Just brush it on. Again, with this, you don't have to be careful. It's a brush type marker. It's not designed for you to particularly be too careful with. You can get pretty carefree. The real complaint really is that markers like this tend to not be as high quality as other markers, because I've dealt with my fair share of these that just don't work. You buy them, they don't function, or if you do buy them and they do function, great, but they're going to dry up really quick compared to something like, a display marker or some of your other brands too. Yeah, a paint marker would honestly do the same thing. Might be a little more expensive though, because these are about $2 to $3 US a piece, usually. Now you're like, oh, we've just made a mess. What's this for? Well, I'll explain what these are for. Let that sit for just a second. Now, get yourself any old Q-tip. I'm going to use just a basic Q-tip I got from like a Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to rub away parts of this that I don't want detail shown on. That's why it's called a wiping type marker. I'm just going to wipe away some of the excess surface detail here. And you're going to get really nice detail peeking through. And yeah, as you can see, you have highlighted all the little details in there now. And of course you could do that on the entire model, and it's going to look far better than what would happen if you left it unpainted. Now, hopefully you guys found this a little bit helpful, and I was able to at least help somebody in the hobby with figuring out how to use Gundam markers and what they're good for and things like that. And if you ever have to remove some of this, they do make a Gundam marker remover, which is essentially paint thinner and a pen that you just scribble on the area and wipe off with a Q-tip. Super simple to use. I'm going to cover, I think I've already covered that at some point. I'll link the video up there so you can go watch it. But hopefully I helped someone, and if you guys got something out of this, let me know. I'll see y'all on the next one.